podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Thanks for watching the Sick Podcast, everyone, on this Wednesday, July 31st. Once again, in all transparency, this was pre-recorded earlier in the day as I am still in Spain. And Kaiden Guhle set to talk to the members of the media at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And this was recorded before that. So I'm not able to get my hands on any of those clips, but I'm sure we'll talk about some of them tomorrow. What we can tell you is the Montreal Canadiens and General Manager Kent Hughes have been busy signing players over the last couple of days. We'll get to that. First and foremost, the Sick Podcast, once again, brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. I say hello to my buddies, Mike Chiquino, Sean Gerard, and David Grassi. Also brought to you in part by Bittt Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the hot summer days, with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light, ultra refreshing. Also brought to you in part by Playground. Experience Playground's world-renowned poker experience with free food and drinks at their cash game tables. A bad beat jackpot. That's over $1.1 million in climbing, weekly promotions, daily tournaments, unmatched customer service. Why play anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. Playground. And yes, over the last couple of days, the Montreal Canadiens have sent out 3 tweets, 3 press releases that caught my attention and Canadiens fans' attention in particular. It started with Arber Xhekaj, if we can bring it up. There you go. Canadiens agreed to a 2-year contract with Arber Xhekaj, $1.3 million per season times 2. Next up, the Canadiens agreed to terms on a 2-year contract with defenseman Justin Barron, $1.15 million per season times 2. And earlier today, the Canadiens have agreed to terms on a 6-year contract extension with defenseman Kaiden Guhle, which will kick in after next season at $5.55 million per season times 6 years. Without further ado, we bring in from the Recruits Draftcast podcast, the Sick Podcast Network with Sick Media, Grant McCagg. What's going on?
Well, nice signings, Tony. I'm pretty happy about those 3 signings. I think that's pretty solid work by Kent.
Yeah, those who see the glass half full will say Kent Hughes had to go out and get a left winger for that second line, which he hasn't just yet. But this is what he's done thus far this summer. He drafted Ivan Demidov and Michael Hage in round 1. He gave Juraj Slafkovsky a contract extension of 8 years at $7.6 million. Arber Xhekaj, 2 years at $2.6 million, 1.3 times 2. Justin Barron, we just got to it, 2 years at 1.5 per season. Kaiden Guhle, 6 years at 5.5, which kicks in at the end of next year. Kent Hughes has done a lot of work. A lot of good work.
Well, none of those contracts, I think, unlike Bergie there, I don't know that he signed any poor contracts as of yet. So I don't think you can, like any of those contracts, you can really say we're poor. So it's nice to have these guys locked up.
One contract I thought was a little bit too much. Tell me what you think. The Jake Allen contract, a little bit too much for his age and where he was with his play. All the other ones, totally fine with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's possible, but
I'm nitpicking here.
Goalies are typically at their best in their 30s. Like, that's their prime, basically 30 to 35. So I didn't have as big an issue with it, but I know where you're coming from. It might have been, but if anything, it's it's not by much, and they traded him. It's not like he was untradeable because of his contract. So,
well, they were able to retain some salary. But look, I'm going to say this, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I think the work the duo of Gordon and Hughes have done has been really spectacular. I don't know what other superlative I can use. I mean, I think they've done phenomenal work. I really do. It's when you're there for 2.5 years, there's a lot of moves that you make in that span. And when you're there for that amount of time, there's a lot of bad moves you can make too. And when we're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking, you know what, maybe just gave a couple $100,000 too much to Jake Allen. Maybe shouldn't have given the contract. Maybe gave a year. That's it. Like, that's the only that we can nitpick with. I think they've done terrific work, really terrific work. Yeah.
So what's the, give us your rundown on the Rock there, Tony.
Oh, the rundown on the Rock. Well, I see the Rock right here from my hotel room.
I bet
it's probably it's within walking distance to get to the Rock because I'm on the other side of the I'm on the Spanish side. Okay. Gibraltar's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like I'm not going to tell you that I'm a world traveler and I've been to 1,000 places in my life, but I think I've probably been to a good 20, 30 places in my life. Like, Gibraltar's up there, like, with the best of them. It's probably the nicest place I've ever visited in my life. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, I visited Lugano, Switzerland, which was really something too. But
you got the young lad running to the top of the Rock yet, or?
Yeah, no, he has not run to the top of the Rock yet. But he did have a practice in Gibraltar last week on Saturday. He had another one in Gibraltar last week on Sunday, because usually what they do is and I'll bore people with this for about 10 or 15 seconds, and then we'll move on. But Gibraltar is a British colony, and everything's in pounds, and there's a lot of money circulating there, and it costs quite a bit to live there, so it's a pretty expensive lifestyle. So all the teams, and there's 11 of them, who play in the Gibraltar First League, pretty much like most of the players, I haven't gone around asking the players, but based on what I hear, most of the players all live in Spain. And most of the teams all train in Spain for the most part. They'll probably get in one practice in Gibraltar or 2 per week and then play the game there on the weekend. But it's a really spectacular place. So for those watching, for those listening who have never been before, probably about a good hour and a half from Malaga Airport, Gibraltar is a really incredible place to visit.
Nice.
Our buddy Mitch Garber worked here for the longest time. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah. No,
yeah, he was running. Yeah, he was running one of the casinos here. I don't know for how many years, but he did really well for himself. And then from there went to Vegas, and I think he was working at Caesars, if memory serves me well, but I could be wrong. And then got the opportunity, of course, to become a partner with the Seattle Kraken. But Mitch Garber did really good stuff here in Gibraltar and did really well for himself in Gibraltar. All right, okay. Cool. I want to ask you about probably the least popular of the three, with all due respect to him for the time being anyway, of the three signings, Xhekaj, Barron, and Kaiden Guhle, which is Justin Barron. A lot of people were looking at him saying, is Justin Barron, once again, like, what's going to happen? Is he going to start the season in Laval? Is he going to start the season with the Canadiens? Is he going to be sent down? Is he going to move? Is he going to be scratched? Is he going to be a 7? Is he going to be an 8? Is he going to be a 6? Is there an opening on the right side for him? Is Mailloux going to make the team instead? How about Ryan Backer? What does this contract say to you? Justin Barron signed 2 years, 1.15 per season. What does it say to you?
Well, I think they had no choice. They had to give him that unless they wanted to lose him. But I don't know that it says a heck of a lot, other than here's your opportunity. They traded away Kovacevic, so there's a spot there for him. He's the natural right. I mean, it looks like who he likely loses a spot to if he doesn't make the team would be somebody that's playing on their offside, because I think at this point, well, he's waiver eligible, right?
Yes.
So I don't see him being sent down, because I don't think that he would clear waivers. There'll be a team that would pick him up, because Montreal's defense depth is a lot better than a lot of teams. So he makes the team. Whether it's as a regular in the top 3 on the right, training camp will sort out a lot of that. But
you're right.
For me, I thought the best deal is the Xhekaj deal, like only 1.35 or whatever per season.
1.3.
I mean, especially if he plays regular role and he's the club's enforcer, which is, if he does play a regular role, that's what he's going to be. A steady, shutdown, tough defenseman. Boy, that could be a really, especially next year, that could be great value. I mean, he's not that proven yet, and he played in the AHL a bit last year, so they couldn't ask for a lot more than that. But for him to be getting a quarter of what Guhle is getting at this point, and not, on some nights outplaying him, really, playing just as well as Guhle. I mean, Goule's better defenseman, obviously, but that was a really good value contract. And obviously he's going to be, he hopes to become a regular in that time. And then the next deal after that, if he is a regular on the Habs defense in 2 years' time, he'll be getting a substantial pay raise at that point.
The contracts say to me that when the Canadiens open the season in October, Savard will be there on the right side. I'd be surprised if he isn't.
Yeah.
Guhle will play the offside and play on the right side.
Probably.
And Justin Barron will play on the right side. Now, adding on to what you had to say, whether or not he's going to be in the top 6 or not will depend on Barron's camp. If Barron has a really good camp, or if a left-handed defenseman like Harris, Struble, or Xhekaj is used on the offside during camp and they're great, coupled with Barron maybe struggling a little bit, well, then that, one of those players will probably be playing the offside, and then Barron will probably be a number 7. It says to me, and once again, sometimes a lot of stuff is played out at camp. Sometimes it isn't, because of the whole waiver thing and sending players down. But if it isn't at that point, it usually ends up getting settled later on. But it says to me that for now, the plan is Mailloux starts in Laval. But once again, that can still change too. But I think that's the plan. He can change things.
Yeah. Even Reinbacher could change it. I mean, the two of them have the potential to have outstanding training camps. And if they do, they'll have a hard decision to make at the end of camp. Maybe it means even somebody else gets moved again so they don't lose anyone on waivers. But typically what I would expect is that both Mailloux and Reinbacher start in Laval. But yeah, I think the Canadiens have been pretty good where, they'll give a job to somebody based on merit. And it wasn't always the case, I think in the past. And if either of those guys is lights out in training camp, I think they'll start the year in Montreal and they'll get it figured out. Yeah. Even if it means having one less, going with 8 defensemen to start the year and one less forward on the roster. There's different things that you can do, juggle the lineup to start the year. But there's a lot of, I mean, Harris, he only has a couple of years of NHL experience, and he could have a break. I mean, he's NHL caliber defenseman. And if of any of the guys other than Guhle, I think he's the best bet to play on the right side, because he played a pile of it in college, and he looked good, for the most part, on the right side with Montreal. So he's definitely in the mix there. If he has a really good training camp, he can start the year. Xhekaj, Harris as the third pairing likely, and Barron as the spare. But where's the spot for Struble? Is Hudson a regular right out of camp? I mean, we're expecting it, but if he struggles defensively, he's not waiver eligible for a couple of years, and I don't expect him to go down, but he can certainly, be the odd man out as well. So there are several positions up for grabs at camp, and I think that's always healthy. There's no set lineup. I hate to harp back to previous regimes, but there were years when, especially when Claude was coaching, where basically the lineup was decided before the first exhibition game. Even lines, they decided before camp ever started, this is the first line, second, third, fourth, and started the year with no changes from that.
Wow.
No matter who played well, no matter who didn't play well, it seemed like every year it was decided, didn't matter how people played in camp, this was what the lineup was going to be to start the year. And Marty doesn't operate that way, and I think that's refreshing.
Thank God. I would imagine that Arber Xhekaj was the first of the three signings, already had a chance to celebrate. And I don't know if Justin Barron has or hasn't yet. Kaiden Guhle, it's fresh news here. But cheers to all three of them. Why don't we play a little something for them? Oh, yeah. Cheers to all three of them, presented by Bittt, Tibi. And here I am in Spain. If I'd be back in Montreal, I'd have my cans with me, but unfortunately I don't right now. But if I did, I would be like Stone Cold Steve Austin and grab two beer cans and just smack them together and open them up and start drinking them. And cheers, I say, to all three players who signed. In Italian, we say salute. Once again, cheers to that. Brought to you by, presented by Bittt at TB. Getting back now to the topics at hand. You talked about Hudson. I had a great conversation with Pierre Maguire yesterday, as I always do. I always very, very much enjoy it. He believes the Canadiens are going to go with 11-7. I don't believe they will. Every time I talk to a coach, every time I talk to a player, every time I talk to a former player, they tell me that they don't like the 11-7. They like 12-6. And you know what? When it's 11-7, you get out of the rhythm of the game and stuff like that. But I understand what he was saying. He said that they're probably going to gradually insert Hudson into the lineup, kind of make him a power play specialist at the beginning. He played 2 games last year at the end of the season, last 2 games of the season. I realized there was no pressure in those games. So, it'll be different, those 2 games at the end of the season than the first 2 games this year to start the season, where the playoffs are a possibility when you start the season. The last 2 games of the season, they were not a possibility. But I don't see the 11-7 happening. But then again, it all depends on how they kind of work around it. Do you?
I don't think so. You don't cater to one player. As good, as promising as he is, I don't think that, let's change the whole concept and be different than everyone else because of one player. Either if they don't think he's ready defensively to start the year, send him down. Send him down to Laval. Don't, we'll go with 11 forwards. So who do you sit out? There's 12 or 13 spots that I think are cemented right now. So do you start the year? I don't know, is Anderson in the stands or is Gallagher in the stands? Or I don't see that. I don't think that would go over well. And there's 12 legitimate forward spots that are available, and they'll all be playing. And no, I can't see. And plus, it's just you got to have set lines to start the year. Guys get used to each other. You figure out if you're going with 11 forwards, you're mixing it up all the time. I don't like that. And then 7 defensemen, you've got guys not playing as much as they want to play. I just don't see any upside in going that route, really, other than trying to appease one player, Hudson, because of it. I get the fact that, you want him on the power play, and if this would be a way, if you don't think he's comfortable playing, even strength all the time. But if they don't think he's ready to play even strength all the time, give him some seasoning in the AHL. Get him, that's not a bad thing. Is as promising a player as he is.
Yeah.
Send him down if they think that he needs seasoning. It's better than sitting on the bench and not, like, you got to have him playing.
Yeah. No, but you made an interesting comment. You made an interesting comment when you said 12 or 13 players cemented already at the forward position. I don't quite see it that way, to tell you the truth. And I see, in no particular order, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, that's 3. Doc, Newhook, Gallagher, that's 6. Dvorak, Anderson, Armia, that's 9. Evans and Pizzetta, that's 11. And I think Barry Boulay, I said Gallagher. And I think Barry Boulay is it's not, it's not set in stone that he's going to start the year with the Canadiens. If he can't be in an offensive role, I think he's going to be, first line player for the Laval Rocket.
Well, did you say Roy or Beck or Kapanen or
Joshua Roy? You know what? We're at 12 unless at that point Pizzetta isn't in the lineup at all times. But yeah, you know what? I forgot about Joshua Roy and I shouldn't have. Yeah, he'll definitely be in there. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's safe to say there's 12. I think there's 12.
I think one of the young lads at least makes the squad to start, and hopefully it's Wah. I think he's probably the most. So. Yeah.
I think so.
No, I mean, not necessarily cemented, but there's 12 guys that should be playing, I think. And there's multiple reasons I believe that 11-7, especially to start the season, you want lines to get chemistry together.
Yes, that's fine.
And to start the year with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, that you're not doing that. So
and look, I can't really think of off the top of my head a team that consistently went with 11-7. Like, you'll see it for a game or two, but to say you're going long, I don't see that. What I do like about the concept is, in a concept like that, every now and then, I would do it every now and then personally.
Yeah.
Because you can lower Matheson's minutes. Well, I think he's been, I know he skates like the wind, and I know he actually glides, but I think he's been getting too many minutes over the last couple of years. You could probably lower his minutes by about 5 or 6 minutes. You can pick some spots for Lane Hudson, possibly. Yeah, I get that too. And maybe the other guys will just be more effective by having a couple of minutes less. Another thing that you can do is, if you're going to play 7 defensemen, is at one point some of your defensemen can probably play at a forward position. I mean, it's one of the themes that we've been talking about over the past couple of days with Eric Engels and Pierre Maguire, is that, we've seen a lot of defensemen who played forward before and a lot of forwards who ended up playing defense after. And, can Arber Xhekaj a game or two play on a, wing on the fourth line? I think he could. Could Lane Hudson probably even play on the fourth line? It's probably crazy, but if the matchup is good where you can overwhelm them, from an ability standpoint, maybe. And, but I tend to agree with you. I think they're going to go with 12-6. The big challenge, I think, for Marty St. Louis is going to be that defenseman who's going to be that odd man out. You got to manage development, right? And that's why I think the thing that makes the most sense, Eric said they might go out, pick out a veteran on waivers, and that veteran will be their number 7. If not, I think the thing that makes the most sense is, you know what? Matheson's always in, Guhle's always in. You'd have to think Savard's always in, and the other ones
rotate.
The least affected out of those players, that person sits out. The other one comes in. The least affected out of those, that person sits out. The other one comes in. Yeah, that's the way you can have a real good internal competition going.
Yeah, and they've done that before. Like the last couple of years with they rotated guys. Like Harris would sit out a game or two. Barron would sit out a game or two. Kovacevic sat out here and there, and you kind of rotated a bit. And it's not perfect for the young defenseman, but practicing with the club every day, getting in 30, 40 plus games, learning learning how to adapt to the NHL. There are worse things than that, and it can happen. Yes, there'll be, regardless of who the defensemen are to start the year, there's going to be rotating happening, because the 7th or 8th, if they go with 8 to start, they'll both be NHL caliber defensemen and likely young. So you're not going to have like Barron sit 20 straight games in the press box or any of them. So there's definitely going to be rotating going on with the 6, 7, 8 guys.
A shout out to Betway, a leading global online betting and gaming brand. Follow your gut instinct. Go with Betway. Go on betway.com or scan the QR code to join the action. Must be 18 and over and play responsibly. All right. Arber Xhekaj was available to the media over the past couple of days. So was Justin Barron. Kaiden Guhle at the time of this recording hasn't spoken yet, so we'll come out a couple of those clips tomorrow. But if we can, let's hear a couple of clips from Arber Xhekaj.
Besides rehab, have you changed anything in your preparation, whether it being the physical approach or the mental approach? Have you changed anything for next season?
I think mentally it's one of those things where it's like I'm not going to be coming into camp like thinking like scared or nervous to do something. It's like you gotta, like, yeah, you've been here, you've played 2 years, like you gotta be a leader for these young guys. You gotta show them, like, you gotta set the tone. You gotta like be a little bit more of a leader, and especially on the back end where we have a lot of young guys like Ryan Backer and Hudson, and like we need like obviously we have our vets with Matheson and Savard, but like all of us younger guys, we got to show them the way too. So I think that's kind of the mindset I got to go into camp.
Should be another clip. Is there?
The game is obviously a big part of your game, but where do you place the discipline in your priorities for next season? Because you almost lead the league in minor penalties per game last season in defensemen. And is that the part of your game that you want to focus on, or how do you find the right balance between physicality and discipline?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough. I mean, I think we have a younger team, and I think there's going to be at some points where I'm going to have to stick up for some guys to make sure everyone's protected out there. And obviously I gotta do it smart. I gotta know when's the right time, when's the right game. And I think just coming with maturity, that's how all that stuff pans out. And I think as you learn, you play the game, and you start to notice when you can do things and when you can. And obviously the minor penalties has got to be cleaned up, because I don't really like to take minor penalties.
All right, Grant, your thoughts on the two questions he was asked in terms of the preparation and in terms of the discipline.
Yeah, those were, good questions. The second one was a tough one, but I mean, it's why he got sent down. I think the main reason, and he's fully aware of it. And when he came back, I thought he was more disciplined. His second go around, like, the message got through that, okay, I can't be costing the team games by being in the penalty box and the other team scoring while I'm in there.
There was that one game, I think, versus the Capitals, and then he got the 2 penalties, and then he was a healthy scratch after that. And then when he came back, at that moment on, I think he found his discipline.
Yeah. I don't have a worry. He's going to take the odd penalty for being a bit too, for protecting guys and maybe giving a cross check a little too hard in front of the net and this and that. I don't mind those penalties as a rule. But it's the undisciplined ones where, he chops a guy or just a little extra stuff. And I think he learned that as it went along. You cross check the guy to a certain degree, but don't overdo it. Do it 2 or 3 times, because you'll get nailed. And you also gain a reputation for it too, and he'll keep ending up in the box if he does. So I was satisfied with his discipline in the second half when he came back, and I think the message got through to him.
All right, okay, let's hear from Justin Barron.
See yourself in the organization or in the defense specifically? Because, as you said, you have struggled to establish yourself as a full-time NHLer, but what do you want to show them actually to prove that you're a full-time NHLer?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been my defensive game. I feel like if I can really, bear down and take a big step in that this year, and having more trust from the coaching staff, and just being harder to play against, and better details in my defensive game, I think that'll help my game a lot. I think that's an area where I've struggled a little bit, especially with consistency throughout the last 2 years. And yeah, at the same time, I want to keep showing my offensive game, and hopefully take the next step in that part of my game as well.
Is there another clip?
With some of the young defensemen in Habs, how do you see the next few years with the place of the young defensemen in the team?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I think the future's bright. I think, we've got a ton of really good players on the back end, some young guys, and, it seems like we've got a good mix of, guys that can play really well defensively, some offensive guys and stuff too. And yeah, I think that's another reason why this is a big year for me, and, coming into camp and trying to establish myself as, a full-time player. And, my goal is to be up playing top 4, top pair minutes, hopefully sometime soon in the future. And yeah, that's kind of the goal and mindset for me. And I want to start taking that step this year.
All right, Grant, based on what you heard from Justin Barron, your thoughts?
I think you said all the right things. Obviously, the coaching staff has been telling him, and I mean, that's the consensus, is that he's got to clean up his defensive game, turnovers, play a little more aggressively away from the puck. He's got decent size, good skater, so the ability is there for him to become a full-time NHL defenseman. And I mean, he's still only 22 years of age. A lot of guys don't figure it out till 23 plus. So it's not like he's, it's not a big deal that he hasn't become an NHL regular yet. But I do think that this is a big camp for him, that he's got to come in, establish himself. Hopefully he's got the confidence now to play at the NHL level regularly. He's only played 200 games in the last 4 years. There was COVID, there were injuries. So he doesn't have that. He's had 200 pro games so far under his belt. Now, for some guys, that's 2 years. I mean, there's been no playoff for him the last 4 years. Total, he's played about 200 games. So he's still learning the pro game, and got to be patient with him. Hope that he's makes that extra step this year and has the confidence to be a full-time NHLer, because, hey, he was a first-round pick for a reason. The ability is there.
All right, okay. I want to show the cover of your magazine.
Okay.
I got this sent to me here. Look at this. Hey, this is recruits.ca 2024 Habs prospect guide. Ivan Demidov. Is he the key? And of course, Michael Hage moving on up. Also, the Hage of Demidov. I like that. Montreal's top 42 prospects, ranks, and profiled. Bobrov piling up on the unicorns. I would imagine that Florian Xhekaj will be part of that list. Eh? What can you tell me about this edition here?
Yeah, well, it's the last thing that I'm going to be producing under the Recruits website. I am going to be folding it up there, Tony, after this. It's been 7 years, labor of love, but just a bigger, better opportunity has come along, and I'm going to be pursuing it.
That's good. I'm not surprised. Yeah. We can't announce it right at this point, but soon there's going to be a big announcement about it. But, I mean, I have a lot of loyal subscribers over the past 7 years, and I thought
this is a nice way to thank them all to produce a Habs prospect guide, and it's I'm really looking forward to it. I hope some people subscribe. As of tonight, it's going to be up on the website, and people can subscribe to it for $9.99 that aren't already subscribers. But everyone that does subscribe to Recruits is going to get this. They'll be able to access this. So it's a thank you to all of my loyal subscribers and a going away present, basically. But I've got over 100 videos that I've made for this, 3+ for every prospect in the top 30. Advanced stats that I did on each of them. I've got pro projections for each prospect. I also did grades for them each. So it's really in depth. I spent, people are wondering why maybe there hasn't been much stuff up on the website the last few weeks. I've been working diligently on this. That's why.
Wow.
It's launching tonight, and I hope people enjoy it. And I get some extra support from people who aren't subscribers.
Fantastic stuff, Grant, and congratulations. You do unbelievable work. If you didn't, you wouldn't be a part of the podcast, and you are. I'm able to recognize the work, and I think a lot of other people have. And I'm not surprised that there's a bigger and better opportunity for you on the horizon. So congrats, and keep me posted. But I think I might know what it is. All right. Okay. Last but not least, this is the biggie, of course. Kaiden Guhle's contract. A lot of people were wondering, is Guhle going to get 6 years? Is he going to get 7 years? Is he going to get 8 years? Is he going to be in the $7 million mark? If not, he'll be in the $6 million mark. Turns out he's in the $5 million mark, $5.55 million per season for 6 years, starting after the end of next season. I haven't heard what you have to say yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, I love the contract. I think it's great for the Canadiens.
Yeah. Well, I think, the team projects him as a top 3 defenseman for the club over the course of that contract. You can get a young top 3 defenseman locked in for 6 years. It's going to burn 2 of his UFA years are going to be burned on this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's partly, that's part of the reason why it was 5.5 or whatever. I think that's more than fair for the Canadiens. The salary cap going up 5.5 million per is not going to be that much higher than the league average by the end of his contract. Now, you got a top 3 defenseman that's almost making the league average. It's going to be a 25-minute a night guy, probably. That's fantastic value. Great that the Canadiens got him locked up for 6 years. He's a key part of the future. I think the leadership end of things, like he's going to wear an A someday, I think, with the Canadiens and be one of the leaders in the dressing room. There's no negatives to Kaiden Guhle. Like, great skater, moves the puck well. He's going to put on that weight this summer that he needed to put on to be that much more physical. And I just think he's going to have a breakout year this year. And that contract's going to be good value this year, I believe. So,
yeah, I think your dog approves. He likes the contract. $5.55 million as a cap hit for a guy who's going to be, let's just say, a number 2. Once again, I think that's a really good number. Take a look at a lot of number 2s on a lot of teams. They're making more than 5.55. And we're talking 2 years from now.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great deal. Luca agrees with it there. He was chiming in with a few barks there, Tony. But
yeah.
I think that's a great deal. And no, there's not one negative to that contract because Guhle's top 4 all day, and I think the Canadiens, Kent Hughes did some excellent work with that contract.
What do you think is ceiling this? What is Guhle's ceiling? Can he be a number 1? Because can you imagine if he becomes a number 1 defenseman at 5.555? Pardon me, at 5.55? It's a joke. It would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think his his ceiling is first pairing left defenseman. Whether it's first, doesn't matter if it's first or second, on the team. If you're first pairing defenseman playing 23 plus minutes a night, which I think is very, very possible with him at $5.5 million a year, that's a steal.
All right, so great work once again by Gordon and Hughes, and there's hasn't been a dull moment for the Montreal Canadiens over the past couple of days. Grant, very happy that you were a part of it today. Congrats on the news, even though we can't really break it, or you can't break it just yet. But this is your last piece of work on recruits.ca because you're on to bigger and better. I think that's awesome, Grant. Good things come to people who work, and good things come to people who work well, and good things come to people who deserve them. And I think you check all the boxes. We'll talk to you soon, my man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tony.
All right. Special thanks to all of you for watching. If you like it, comment sick, share it with your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. Special thanks to Energy Transportation Group, to Bittt, to Tibi, to Playground, and to Betway, and to Shane Gaumont and Master Control. Thank you, my friend. I'm Marinaro. We'll be back on the Sick Podcast.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.